What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Ragin Ronin review. I got a review for you. I checked out Mulan, Disney's live-action retelling of Mulan. This is not a remake. Don't call it a remake. I'm not going to call it a remake. Don't get it twisted, because they are definitely not remaking the classic animated film of the same name. In fact, the classic animated film is actually based off of the same source material that this live-action retelling is based off of, and that is the Ballad of Mulan, which is a classic Chinese folktale where this daughter enlists herself in the army to fight warlords. She disguises herself as a man so that her injured father, doesn't have to go into battle. So it's a pretty interesting story. And this film was distributed on Disney Plus, and you had to pay a premium for it. $30 US if you were in America, and $34.99 Canadian plus tax if you're in Canada. Seems like a lot of money. And because of that, I think a lot of people went into this film already feeling a little bit negative about it. Mostly because they're paying quite a premium, so they're thinking it better be worth it. You know, this film better be extraordinarily good because I'm paying this much money. And you know what? It's very fair to feel that way, because that is a huge chunk of money compared to if you were paying regular theatrical prices. It had theatrical distribution. But, you know, if you do what I did, which is split the cost amongst 3 other friends, then you only have to pay $8 or $9, which is actually not too bad. Anyways, this film is in a long list and growing list of Disney live-action films, which are remake or retellings of these classic animated films. Like, for example, I watched Beauty and the Beast. That was a really great film. Saw that twice in IMAX. I saw The Jungle Book. That was great. But I didn't really like the Lion King live-action film. And I was definitely looking forward to this one to see how they do, because I'm actually a fan of these Chinese wuxia films. That's what this film is. It's a Chinese... Well, it's an American-made wuxia film. And what is a wuxia film? Well, a wuxia film is like those Chinese I won't say classic, but Chinese costume period dramas which have kung fu in it. You know, a lot of kung fu, high-flying martial arts, a lot of punching and kicking and sword fighting. That's a wuxia film, and I've seen a lot of them, and that will be my only bias when reviewing this film. I'm not going to be, reviewing it, comparing it to the original. We're not going to talk about Asian representation. We're not going to talk about politics. We're just going to review this film as a Chinese wuxia film, and with my experience watching a whole bunch of and being a fan of Chinese wuxia films. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so I decided to review this film. I'm going to be making this analogy, and that is, upon watching this film, Mulan is the Panda Express of wuxia films. Or if you live in Canada, it's the Manchu Walk of wuxia films. It's definitely not the P.F. Chang's of wuxia films, because P.F. Chang's, I've never eaten at P.F. Chang's, but I heard it's really, really bad, okay? But Panda Express and Manchu Walk, some people actually like their food, okay? Some people actually think they're good. Chinese people don't like their food, but they will eat it if they don't have other options. You know what I mean? Basically, you can tell this is a very, very Western-made or American-made Chinese film. The actors are speaking English, which, you know, I didn't expect them to speak Chinese, but it started feeling weird as soon as they started speaking English. You know, this is a Chinese wuxia film. I mean, an American-made wuxia film. They should be speaking English. It's not like in Aladdin they spoke Punjabi or Hindi, right? So I let that part slide, right? And I was totally fine with it. But you can tell right away that this film just feels so Westernized. I mean, because it is. You have Nikki Caro as the director. She's a New Zealand director. You have, of course, the cast all speaking English. It's a mix of East and West cast. You have these martial arts Chinese heavyweights. These Chinese martial arts heavyweights like Jet Li, Donnie Yen. You also have Gong Li. Li Yufei is she's the lead in it, and also another heavyweight in classic Chinese martial arts films, Cheng Pei Pei. All right, so that is really awesome. And then you have these American actors like Jason Scott Lee. You have there's a cameo from, I'm not going to say who. Who else is there? There's Ji Ma, who actually is a great, he plays the father. He is actually a great actor, great Asian American actor, and he's played a lot of fathers in a lot of American films. Okay, and who else is there? That's all I can name so far, and there's a lot of other American-born Chinese supporting roles. Okay, so it feels very Westernized. It doesn't feel like your classic Chinese wuxia film made by Chinese filmmakers. It's definitely made by Western filmmakers, and you could tell right away. Okay, but let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna just say that this film is good. It's a good film. And by that, I mean it's a decent effort. Okay, keywords being decent effort. It's a good film for a Western-made Chinese wuxia film. Okay, it's a decent effort for what they're trying to make. But when compared to films like this made by Chinese filmmakers, man, it's near the bottom. Okay, but for what it is, they did a pretty decent job. Okay, put in a good effort. Okay, and I say this because there's a lot of really wonderful things about this. For example, I love the costumes. I love the makeup and costume. The cinematography is great. The set design looks fantastic. They definitely put more into this to almost make it a little bit more over the top compared to your typical Zhang Yimou Chinese wuxia film. They really tried to make this one stand out, and it almost feels like to the point where it feels a little bit too glossy. Glossy. Like, it just feels like, wow, it's like they're like, okay, relax, you're kind of overdoing it. You know what I mean? Because you cannot out Zhang Yimou. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they do a decent job. What really bothers me about this film the most, it's the lead. And it has nothing to do with politics. It actually has to do with the fact that she's just not charismatic. I think she lacks experience in I guess Western films or Western acting, like acting in Hollywood films. Okay, she was, however, in the Forbidden Kingdom, which was also another film just like this, which was an American-made wuxia film, which was actually really good. But she was only a supporting role, so she doesn't speak as much. But in this one, she is the lead role, so she should be a little bit more, a little bit more charismatic than what she is. She's quite expressionless. She's quite frozen. Like she's like there's not a lot of expressions coming out of her, and that's what makes it a little bit hard for me to be invested in her. However, I am invested in the story. Like I really was. I enjoyed the thrills. I enjoyed all the things that were going on in the story. It made me invested in the story, and I was invested in her getting from point A to point B. But her character, like, it's basically her performance. Her performance was really lacking for a role like that. So that's really unfortunate, because I wanted to really get into her character, but I was more into I guess the good guys winning. That's what I was really into, and not so much her, but the good guys is winning. All right, so and that's not necessarily like a super bad thing, because I at least was invested in the story. I will also say what was really awesome is it was great to see all these actors in this film. It was awesome to see Jet Li back on the big screen again, and not only on the big screen again, but in a Hollywood role speaking English. He was unrecognizable. His English improved vastly, and same with Gong Li. I last saw her in Miami Vice, and she had this strong, thick Mandarin accent, but she's really good at, like, her English has vastly improved. It was great to see Cheng Pei Pei. It was, of course, awesome to see Donnie Yen. He always is fun to watch. I'll talk more about that later, but also it was excellent to see Jason Scott Lee. Jason Scott Lee is totally underrated. He deserves more roles, and I'm so glad that he was in this, because he was awesome in this. All right, so that was very cool. Oh yeah, Ji Ma, the father, like I really loved his performance. He plays such a good father. He's so good at playing fathers. I last saw him playing a father in The Farewell. He was really good in that, and he's good in this. Um, let's get it right into talking about Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen was the best part about this movie. He was so good. He's really the only martial artist in this film that actually does martial arts, like real martial arts. And after watching this film, like, or where it led up to the scenes where it led up to his performance, it just felt so good to finally see some actual real martial arts, because you're watching actors who don't know martial arts do martial arts, and you can tell like it's just so very poorly done. Like you can tell that they're not very skilled and not very trained at all. But then you see suddenly Donnie Yen. He's so fast, and it just gave me goosebumps, like chills. I wanted to clap once I saw him, because I just felt like, oh man, finally we're seeing some real kung fu in this. You know what I mean? So that was really great to see. And he only has 2 scenes in this film, but every scene that he's in, which is only those 2 scenes, he excels in. So that's really cool. I mean, he was like he's the star of this movie, which is pretty unfortunate because we don't see a lot of him. I really want to talk about this. Here's the thing that really bugs me the most about this film, and that is, with this being an American-made Chinese martial arts film, the martial arts is really, really lacking. Except for Donnie Yen's part, the martial arts is really lacking. It looks like they're just fighting, just like a version of martial arts, like a noob version of martial arts, but it didn't look very. It's not so much that it was convincing; it's just poorly shot. Like when you watch like martial arts actors doing their thing and they're really, really good at it. Even non-martial arts actors like Keanu Reeves, for example. Once these guys are on screen, there's so much chopping and edit. By chopping, no pun intended, I mean choppy editing. There's so much editing in this, like rapid fire editing. Let's go cut from angle A to angle B to angle C, like multiple cameras, and just so many lack of wide shots, so you can't really see what's going on. You kind of have to use your mind to puzzle what is going on in terms of in the fight scenes. You don't get these long, wide takes that I'm so used to watching when you see guys like Donnie Yen or Jackie Chan perform martial arts, or even Keanu Reeves. You know what I'm saying? So it's actually, that part was really disappointing, and that's what distinguishes this film as an American-made wuxia film. Like, that's the difference between this film and Chinese-made wuxia films with Chinese filmmakers. And that's the thing that really, sets this film apart, right? It's not the fact that they're speaking English, it's the way the action is filmed. Because this is a martial arts epic. This is supposed to be, have some really spectacular fight scenes, and, they do have all the elements of what would make one. But unfortunately, it's poorly executed, as in it was poorly shot. The direction was not very good, and how they did it, they didn't have like masters like Master Yun Wu Ping or Corey Yun or Donnie Yen, Donnie Yen doing the action choreography, or I can name a whole bunch of them, but they all Chinese names. Anyways, so that's really, really unfortunate that they didn't have someone like a consultant, like a martial arts consultant from Chinese cinema to help them out with those scenes, because I think that would have helped a lot. So that is unfortunate, and that really lowered my score. Even though I think that this is a good film, a chunk of it really could have been a chunk of it really could have been better had they done better martial arts. Okay, so that doesn't really kill the movie for me. I still think it was a good film. Like I said, they put in a decent effort, and they that they were actually putting in effort to try to make a good film. It's just that part was really, really lacking. Li Yufei, she physically does a decent job, but her performance was not good enough to really make me get that invested in the character. So that's unfortunate. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, which is actually a decent score. It's actually a good score. Like I said, it's a good movie. but it's a decent effort. It's more like I'm gonna give you like that score because I see the work that you guys put in. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. That's my review of Mulan. Okay. Stay tuned because I'm actually going to revisit some classic Chinese wuxia films that are really, really good, and then I'm gonna give you my top 10 list for ranking my favorite Chinese wuxia films, and I'd like to recommend those to you, so that you can kind of ignore this one and then watch these other ones. But like, make no mistake about it, I think this is a good film, and if you're interested, go watch it. Don't let this persuade you guys from watching this, because it is a decent film, but there are other better films out there, and don't just limit yourself to American-made Chinese martial arts films. There are so many great ones made by Chinese filmmakers. So there you have it. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this review. It was pretty long. It went longer than I expected, but thank you for watching all the way through. And there you have it. As always, if you enjoyed this review, you want to see more, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.